Okay, so Tuesday, July 11th. So today you've got 2 lessons as well as a quiz about yesterday's material. And so today we're going to look at biases and survey designs as well as experiment design. Just a reminder that you have your ISU check number 1. So that's developing your thesis and whatnot. And so, yeah, that's the update for now. So we're going to look at survey design and bias. Once I get past that quiz. Okay. So if you conduct a survey and collect information firsthand, that is called data. This is called primary data. Okay, so we've talked about this when we talked about the ISU. So that means that you're creating the survey, you're collecting information. If you're obtaining similar studies conducted or information from other studies, or you're you're Googling stats and whatnot, this is called secondary data. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to clear this so I can move forward. The other stuff I can definitely type in. So basic principle number 1, a survey is not merely a collection of questions thrown together without purpose. Surveys should be designed around specific needs for information about a specific topic or relevant topic. A basic principle number 2 is both parties to the survey have responsibilities. So the interviewer's work must be mostly done in advance. So collecting your data isn't going to be the most work. You literally just create a survey, craft some questions that are going to be relevant to your study. And you are going to submit that to collect the data. So the interviewee's task is to having agreed to answer questions, B, to be truthful. Okay, wow. And so your basic principle number 3 is a prime task of the interviewer at the question design stage is to help the interviewee be honest. So you have to form your questions in a way that it makes people have to be honest. It doesn't leave too much room for lies or for, deception. Okay, so we have open questions and closed questions. So open questions are answered in respondents' own words. It has a wide variety of possibilities. And answers sometimes difficult to interpret. Okay, so you see those in your test, right? Open questions, you can literally just word vomit and get points as long as it's on topic. So examples would be like, how do you feel about the salaries paid to professional athletes? What is the most important issue for King's students? Okay, so that leads a lot of different possibilities. And so it's hard to kind of collect your data that way. So you have closed questions, which mean that the students are given, or the interviewees, respondents select from a given list of responses. So for example, multiple choice questions, or the question, or the question requires an exact response. Answers are easily analyzed. And options present may bias results. Okay. So we have different types of closed questions. So we have those that look for information. So For example, circle the appropriate response. So what is your gender? What is your age? We've got a checklist type of closed question. So which of the following sports do you enjoy watching? So check all that apply. And then you've got a rating. So it asks survey respondents to compare different items using a common scale. So, you know, you often hear like between a scale of 1 to 10, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So how, satisfied, or sorry, this one would just be, like how satisfied are you? So very dissatisfied, etc. And using a scale of 0 to not at all to 4 being very important, please rate the importance of each aspect. Okay. And then you've got your ranking. So that is making them do an ordering. So compare a list of objects to one another by ordering them. So 1 to 4, being 1 is the most important to you and 4 is the least. So you would say like speed of service 1, easy of park 2, cleanliness 3, or whatever. So you list them all out. So we have, obviously there's going to be bad questions. So like I was saying, when you're creating your interview or your survey, FYI, animals are insane. Okay, so when you're creating your survey or your interview, you have to conduct really good questions that are going to be simple. They're going to be specific, relevant, and readable. So obviously you want to look at your grammar. If you're not very good at grammar, use Grammarly, it's the best. So you've got good questions, avoid jargons, abbreviations, don't use like LOL in there, negatives, leading response, and insensitivity. Okay. Just as like a base, avoid religion, politics, you know, those types of topics that people often tell you to avoid. When you're looking at examples, so what is wrong with each of the following questions? So given the increasing problem of obesity among teenagers in North America, do you agree that Kings should make physical education a mandatory class for every grade? Okay, so this is leading respondents. It's already bringing forth an argument. It's saying, you know, like obesity is huge in North America, so we should have physical education. So it should just be very vague and simple. So do you think that phys ed should be a mandatory class for every grade? Don't give that argument out for them. Do you think that NHLPA should have agreed to the last CBA? So this clearly has abbreviations. Don't do that. Which hockey player would you not select first in a fantasy hockey draft? So this is negative. And so negative, and it's possible that you would have jargon in there. Okay, so keep it as simple as possible. Don't lead the respondents towards a certain answer. Don't make it negative. So this one would be like, which player would you select first for the draft? And so we have different types of biases. So the results of a survey can be accurate only if the sample is representative of the population. Representative of the population of the measurements, and the measurements are objective. So the methods used for choosing the sample and collecting the data must be free from bias. Statistical bias is any factor that favors certain outcomes or responses and hence systematically skews the survey results. Okay. So the next little bit does have a lot of writing, just as we put the definitions down. So we have sampling bias, which is when the chosen sample does not accurately represent the population. One household bias, one type of respondent is overrepresented because groupings of different sizes are pulled equally instead of proportionally. Non-bias or non-response bias would be when somebody doesn't answer. So this occurs when an individual can't be contacted or refuses to participate. And we've got response or measurement bias, so it refers to anything in the survey design that influences the response. This includes, but is not limited to, tendency of respondents to tailor responses, to try to please the interviewer, natural unwillingness of respondents to reveal personal facts. So if you're going like in TMI zones, people are going to be embarrassed or if you bring up those types of topics, right? The wording of questions can influence responses. So I do suggest that you pause along the way to be able to write all of that. And we're going to move forward with the examples. So identifying biases. So you're the campaign manager for your best friend, Rebecca, who is running for Student Council Prime Minister. You have been asked to determine the overall level of support for Rebecca among 1,500 students at your school. Design a sampling method that will provide at least sampling bias. So to save time, you have designed or you have decided that a sample of about 50 students will provide a good picture of the school's political landscape. Students have lunch periods 2, 3, or 4. By random draw from a hat, you have decided to conduct the survey in the cafeteria during period 4. The first 50 students who enter the cafeteria are given the questionnaire, and you instruct them to fill it out and return it to you before the end of lunch. Okay, so what is wrong with this? So we have a non-response bias. So some students may not complete or return the survey. And you always also have a sampling bias. You're picking, 50 out of 50 out of 1,500 students. Okay, so perhaps more seniors were let out of class early. Okay, so seniors are overrepresented. And only 50 out of 1,500 students were surveyed. Okay, so you should at least survey 10% of the population. Okay. So we've got our plan B. So to fix the problems with plan A, you have decided to provide a questionnaire to one person for each homeroom. So your sample size is now 73. You can wait until the respondent finishes with the questionnaire to collect it. This will eliminate the non-response bias. So what is wrong with this scenario? So you've got sampling bias. You still only have students out of 1,500, so that is less than 10%. You still have the response bias. So some students may just rush the survey to get through it or answer dishonestly. And you've got your household bias. So some homerooms are bigger than others. Okay. And so you're gonna create a plan C that is free from as many bias as possible. And so from there, you'll be able to have a little bit of experience looking at how to do a good survey. Okay. And then you've got example 3, so identifying sources of response bias. So consider the questionnaire below developed by Rebecca's friend. Identify examples of response bias. Okay, so you've got brought to you by the Friends of Rebecca committee. Circle the appropriate response. So gender, grade, on election day, I intend to vote for. Circle what you like or what you would like most. Okay, so a lot of issues are presented in that. I'm just trying to get this to be, there we go. Okay, so it is brought to you by Rebecca's friends is your first problem. So this may lead to respondents trying to please interviewer with answers. Grade 9, 10, 11, 12 may confuse students taking classes in different levels. Where it says Rebecca on the sheet, it is bolded. And more fun is not specific enough, so it won't generate any useful information. Hopefully that is clear enough for you. Your next one is to look at experiment designs. There is a video that goes along with it, and you answer the questions. So you've got independent practice questions here. And so you've got the video. And so while watching the video, answer the following questions. And then I will take a look at this stuff with you in the next video. Good luck.